Alright guys, welcome to another module on design on steroids. Now in this module we're going to be talking about layer styles. Okay, as we already know, Photoshop is built in layers. Okay, what that means is whatever you're doing is stacked on top of each other. Right, if you look at my far right here, we have this image. You can see it has a background layer and then it has a first layer. Okay, so Photoshop is built in layers. Right, now we're going to talk about layer styles and how you could use layer styles to make amazing designs. Good. So if you open up this image, this model image in your resources folder, right, just open it up in your Photoshop. Right, now right on your layers panel, if you look up to the top here, you will see this normal. This is what we call your layer styles. Right, normal. You can see this normal bar here, this bar titled normal. That's what we call layer styles. Now what exactly are layer styles? Because Photoshop is stacked on top of it, because in Photoshop layers are placed on top of each other to produce your image. At some point we want an interaction between layer A and layer B, or layer 1 and layer 2, right? So we want an interaction between a layer 1 and layer 2. That's what we call layer styles. Okay, now the reason there's no interaction between this layer here and the layer below is because this layer is on normal, right, while the layer below as well is also on normal. Right, good. So now let me show you. If I change this layer style here, you see there are many layer styles. If you click on the normal, you can see there are many layer styles. You have dissolve, darken, multiply, and all of them. Right, so let's click on dissolve. You're not seeing anything yet. You're not seeing anything, I understand. Let's go over to darken and click on darken. Okay, you're really not seeing anything. But now I want you to see the difference. I want you to really see what's going on. I'm going to bring in another image right on top of this image so you see the difference of what happens. So basically in layer styles, what happens is that the image whose layer style is being changed is made transparent in order for it to interface with the lower image, and you would understand that very shortly. So now let's open this image, right, this gradient image. Let's just drag it and drop it on top of the image we already have. Good. So I'm going to expand it so it fills this page, holding my control and alternate. Good. Now enter. So next thing I do is to right click on the layer and rasterize. Great. So we have rasterized the layer now. As you can see, this layer, if you look at the opacity, 100% is on normal. Layer style here is normal. Right, we still have the other layers underneath it. So now let's change this layer style to dissolve. Right, you can't see anything now, I understand. I'll explain why to you. All right, now let's change it to darken. Good. Now it begins to show. Okay, good. If we change it to multiply, you see it changes. So it basically changes that layer. Right, what it does is it basically changes the opacity of that layer, depends on the layer style you're on, and interfaces it with the layer just below it. That's how layer styles work. Right, good. So you can see this multiply. Let's move over to color bond. Okay, this is color bond. Right, okay. Now this is what you get when you click on linear bond. This is darker color. Right, now I want you to understand this. In the layer styles, you can see that there are lines. There are lines, right? Each of these lines separates them in groups. Okay, like then this normal and dissolve, they are basically almost the same thing. For normal and dissolve, what happens is that the transparency of the layer is is still as though it's normal, right? Just that the edges change. For dissolve, the edges change to something more pixelated or granular, and I'll show you that later. While for darken, while this second group here, they more or less darken the color. Okay, this is what darker color is multiply. Okay, good. Now this third group here, they aim to have a lighting color, right? So this lighting, you can see, is brighter. Screen, brighter as well. Color dodge, still bright. Linear dodge, a lot brighter. Lighter color, you can see, brighter. Good. Now let's go over to this next. Now this fourth group we have here, what they try to do is basically to intermix the two layers together, right? But using much softer means. Okay, so this so now this fourth layer we're looking at now. Okay, the first layer is overlay. Let's click on overlay. Okay, good. Now let's go down to click on soft light. Okay, let's see hard light, or this vivid light, hard light, right? So it keeps giving you different and different and different effects, right? Depends on what you want for your design. It keeps giving you different and different effects. Now we're going to the fifth group. We have difference, good, exclusion, subtract, divide, and the sixth group you have hue, you have saturation, you see that, you have color, and you have luminosity. Now I know you've seen all of this. Now how do I know what's layer style to use per time? The truth is, sometimes depends on what you're trying to achieve. You may not just know, oh, this is the particular layer style I need to do. You just may not know that, but you'd likely just know, okay, I just want little light around it, or I want it to be lightened, I want it to be dark. So that will just immediately narrow the group of layer styles you're going to work with, right? So if I want it to be a lot lightened, I know I come over to this third group here, right? And I start playing around with the lighting, screen, color dodge, and all of that. If I want it to be darker, I know I come over to darken, multiply, and color burn, right? So it gives a much darker feel. Depends on what you want to use it for, right? If I want the color to just change a whole lot, I go over to hue, saturation, luminosity, difference, and all of that, right? Good. So you don't really know, you may not really know which one would particularly suit what you need until you have tried them, right? So instead of, you can see when we're going around, I was just clicking, I'd go, okay, normal, go down to color button, click. A faster way to do this is just click on normal, right? And use the down arrow button to move. You can see it. If you look here, you see that it's changing. Once I move the down arrow button, you see it's changing, it's changing. Good. So this is what layer style does. Layer styles helps to interface between, it helps to more or less mix two layers together. In the actual sense, what it's doing is not mixing two layers together. It's just making the layer whose layer style you're applying, you're changing, is making it a lot more transparent such that it reveals the background color, or rather the layer below it. Okay? What it's basically doing is making it much more transparent, right, in a certain manner such that it interfaces with the layer directly below it. Okay, now note, this is not to be mistaken with opacity. Opacity is still 100% in all of this. So that means that even if I decide to choose my difference, right, I could still reduce the opacity so that I don't want a lot of the effects. Okay, and this is what a lot of your photographers use in creating amazing pictures, right? So I could still play around with the opacity, right, to play around with it. Great. Okay, also you could, let me, if I turn this off and decide to use a color, let's say I created a new layer. Now I want to make this feel different. Let me pick a color, let's say gold for instance. Okay, good. I could then come all over to my layer styles, change my layer styles, and then you see that has more or less created like a feel over our image. You see that? Created a feel over our image, right? So this is how a lot of images, the colors of a lot of images are altered. You can see this entirely blue, right? Great. So this is sepia, right? Good. So this is how color of a lot of images are altered, right? Great. So um let me delete this yellow layer, and I just want to stick to this gradient layer. Let's delete this, delete layer. Yes. So let's stick to this gradient we're looking at, and let's change this to saturation. Good. So just by changing the layer style of this gradient layer, I were able to change the image from this to this, making it pop, right? Note that this layer below, its layer style is still normal, right? For more complexity, you can try to change the layer style of this to maybe, let's say, difference or whatever. It changes it entirely, right? Let's say soft light, it still changes it, right? Making, so what happens is this layer one interfaces with the background, and this interfaces with every other thing, right? So let's say I leave this on normal, and then I go all over and we get back our yellow gradient on our yellow fill. I change this to, say, now let's make this color bond. Okay, let's make this multiply. So you could see this layer here is changed. The layer style here has been changed to multiply. The layer style below it, which is gradient, is saturation, right? While the layer style below it, that's the picture itself, is on normal, right? Is on normal. So you could see how all of this plays out. So you could put in more and more layer styles up just to suit whatever purpose you need it for. So if I turn this off, you see that difference. Turn it on, you see the difference. If I turn this off, you see it still gives that difference, right? Great. So that's basically all about layer styles, right? I want to also show you something else. Now let's bring in an image. I'll show you little tricks we also do with layer styles. Now we're going to bring in this brick image. Just drag it and drop it. Good, good. So I press enter, right? Rasterize it. Good. So what I'm going to do, I want to change the layer style of this brick. So let's see what we're going to choose. Let's see what we're going to choose. I think I want it to be on luminosity. You can play around with this as much as you want. You can play around with it as much as you want. There are no hard or fast rules to this, right? Let's see. Okay, you know what? Let's drag this down. Notice that it changes, the color changes when you drag it down. Okay, because this layer here has layer style change, this has layer style change as well. So let's bring this a little lower again. Okay, or rather let's keep this up here. Let's take this luminosity. Okay, I want to turn off this yellow layer over here, right? So now let's bring this bricks layer right below here. Is that what I want? No, I'm not sure that's what I want. So let's say, so I just want us to just select something nice that would work, right? Something nice that would work. Okay, so I think I want to stick to saturation. Good. So we'll use saturation, right? We'll use saturation. Then I want to just quickly do something. You can see this already. This is how a lot of the images you see, this is exactly how photo manipulation starts. This is exactly how image manipulation as well starts, right? And note that if I decide to move these bricks, right, I could move these bricks anywhere I want. It doesn't have to cover her entire face. I could make it just on her lips. You see her lips? I could make it just stay on her lips as well, right? Good. So this is how a lot of photo manipulation starts. I could just make it cover just half of her face, right? So you just have to be as creative as you can, right? You just have to be as creative. And also you could just bring in the eraser tool. For instance, I've already chosen a very big eraser here, big and soft, really soft eraser, right? So I could decide to just clean off her face, clean off the bricks around her face, right? I could decide to clean off the bricks around her face. Let's see. So I'm not doing this with some precision, but you know when you want to do it, you have to be a lot more precise, right? So I'm cleaning off the bricks around her body, right? Great. So you see, it's now like our bricks is the background, okay, and all of this we've done not with any tool, just by changing layer styles. So the layer styles are very, very powerful. You need them when you are composing images for various compositions. Especially they are used a lot in movie poster designs. They are used a lot in movie poster designs. Okay, great. So that's that about layer styles. In the next video, we're going to be talking about another important feature in Photoshop that you need to know. Alright, see you in the next video.